Yes, you are listening to Freedom Friday. And yes, I am Carl Gallups and Mallory Bardwell, your world-famous producer. My next guest who's in the house up this afternoon is Dr. Grace. Dr. Grace, yes, she's in the house. Dr. Grace Voto. She is the editor of the Politics and Culture section of the World Tribune. She's also the host of American Heartland with Dr. Grace. She's also the president of the Edinburgh Institute for American Renewal out of Washington, D.C. She has also been a correspondent to Freedom Friday for years now, and is a dear friend of mine. She keeps us posted and updated on all things Washington, D.C. and up and along the eastern seaboard. Dr. Grace, thanks for being in the house with us today. And
always a pleasure, Carl. Thank you.
Yeah, it's always our honor to have you with us, and we always learn so much when you're with us. Listen, several big stories I want to talk with you about today, but I want to start with this one. I know that Billy and Karen Vaughn, the parents of Aaron Vaughn, a SEALs Team 6 member who was killed in that helicopter crash with a lot of nefarious surroundings to it and investigations going on, but Karen and Billy Vaughn published a letter not too long ago that has gone absolutely viral. I think it was published at World Tribune, and it's gone berserk, it's gone viral, it's melting down the servers, calling on Obama to resign, and yet there's still more to that story. Tell us what you know about that.
Well, Carl, you know, it's my distinct honor to be working with Karen and Billy Vaughn.
Yeah.
Karen especially is a formidable writer. And she wrote an open letter to the President of the United States, which was posted at worldtribune.com. I invite your readers to go and take a look at it. The minute I read it, I thought it was incredibly powerful. It really moved me. This is a woman who reacts to the beheading of journalist James Foley. And essentially in her letter, she discusses the loss of her son, Aaron Vaughn. And the letter bristles with the emotion of a grieving mom, with the emotion of someone who has given her all for this country. And she basically calls for the President of the United States to resign because he's clearly not up to the job of defending American citizens. Now, since that letter was posted, we've also had another beheading, that of Stephen Sotwa. And this letter, its traffic just keeps going up and up and up and up. The publisher sent me a notice this morning saying he just cannot believe the amount of traffic that we're receiving. It's even been picked up by the British press, the Daily Mail. Karen Vaughn has been all over Fox News based on this letter. And the breaking news as of this afternoon, which I'm going to share with your audience, is we just got contacted at worldtribune.com by a man who wants to pay for full-page ads of this letter in American newspapers.
Wow.
It's an incredible story, and you know what this really shows? It shows how the media is changing, how American citizens are responding to the heartfelt pleas of this woman, even more than establishment opinion, talking heads.
Right.
This is a woman who is calling for the president to resign. I have called for it. You have called for it. Lots of others have. But this letter is moving people in a way that is absolutely remarkable. And I think the reason is really, really clear. Not only is she an incredibly eloquent and elegant writer, but it is the emotion there. And I think she stirs in all of us a sense that when Aaron Vaughn died, it could have been any one of our sons. It could have been any one of us. And having paid the ultimate sacrifice, she is an authority.
Yeah.
In a way that the rest of us are not. And I think she speaks with a moral authority and a moral outrage that is moving hearts and minds in an unbelievable way.
Yeah, sure sounds like it. Would you please keep us updated and posted on what happens with that, particularly if that makes it into major newspapers as an advertisement, and also just the fallout from all of this as it continues to roll along, because it sounds like a story that's not going to go away anytime soon.
It's not going to go away. And you know what's incredible, Carl, is I'm just impressed by this man that contacted us that wants to put his money into this. And I encourage anybody out there listening, especially if you're listening in one of the battleground states for the midterms, why don't you do the same? Contact us. We'll give you permission to place this letter in newspapers across the country. And let us use this as a battle cry for the sake of those who are not being properly protected by this commander-in-chief.
Yeah.
Let us use this as a rallying cry.
Yeah.
Let us knock him off in the battleground states by reclaiming the Senate. And this is a really, really effective letter. So the more you can spread it, the more, the more people help us to place it in newspapers across the country, the more we can actually achieve perhaps a groundswell movement to bring maximum pressure both in the midterm elections and then thereafter,
right,
to pressure this commander-in-chief to do his job
right.
properly.
All right. Fantastic. Well, please keep us posted and updated on that and as this story moves along. Listen, let me move you to another story that's really big, breaking in the last, today, basically it broke. Bret Baier with Fox News has now had a sit-down and interview with several security team members with the Benghazi case, and it seems like they have really outed the CIA as being instrumental in giving the stand-down orders, and what they're telling Bret Baier and what is now being broadcast on Fox News and now around the world does not match up with what the White House said happened on that night. Tell us everything you know about it.
Well, what an incredible interview. He had an interview with 3 members of the security team. These were 3 men who were the security team at the CIA annex. They were on the ground that night when our embassy our compound was attacked. And he has released a couple of excerpts of the interview. It's based on a forthcoming book that these gentlemen have written. And the full interview is actually going to appear tonight on Fox. So this is literally breaking news. And the upshot is this. Those 3 men say that at 9:30 p.m. our time, which was roughly when it was very clear that the compound was being assaulted, they asked for permission to go over to where Ambassador Chris Stevens and Sean Smith were. And they were told not once, not twice, but 3 times to not go forward.
Yeah.
What they reveal is that the CIA station chief was on the phone, obviously with somebody from Washington, D.C., and that person was relaying to these brave men to just stay put. The most chilling part of the interview is this. Bret Baier asks point blank, do you think that if you had gone immediately when you wanted to go, you would have been able to rescue Ambassador Chris Stevens and Sean Smith? And they say yes.
Yeah, I saw that.
In fact, they were so tired and so distraught by being told to stand down that after 30 minutes, they defied the orders and they went anyways.
Right.
And can you believe this? As they went there, now defying their leadership, knowing that they are pivotal to rescuing the folks there, they were begging for air support.
Right.
And the air support also never
came. Yeah.
Never came. And so here you have these folks on the ground, and this also confirms other reports that we've received. Remember, we got reports from a team in Tripoli that was told, though
right.
Another group of folks on the ground, we broadcast this, you and I, together a
Yes,
while back.
I remember.
That they were also told to stand down. And now the White House is scrambling, and all their spokespeople are saying, no, that's not the case. But guess what? We also know from a book that you and I discussed this summer, the Clintons are leaking like crazy.
Right.
And one of the things we know is that Secretary of State Hillary Clinton was on the phone with Obama that night. And from these leaked sources, we know that she was telling him that she disapproved of his strategy regarding the attacks, and that she especially disapproved of the narrative that he was going to put forward. So look, this boat of lies is beginning to sink really rapidly.
Yeah, and it sounds to me, I mean, I don't have the authority to declare this, but from everything we now know, now on the heels of this Bret Baier interview, it sounds like Grace, it sounds like there was some criminal activity surrounding this thing coming out of the White House. I mean, it just does. I mean, you've got American ambassador and an embassy calling for help. You've got the security team that is charged with the responsibility of helping in just such a case. Now you've got CIA chiefs on the phone, apparently with the White House, telling them to stand down and let it happen. And then when it happens, the White House blames it on a video. You remember all of that and everything that happened since then. And the lies and the cover-ups, it sounds criminal to me. But I'm not worried about it, Dr. Grace, because I know John Boehner is going to get to the bottom of it.
Well, you know what is interesting here is that despite the lack of movement from folks like John Boehner, the story is just not going to die.
No.
And it's not going to die because of so many people that were there that night. And almost, one by one, almost every couple of months, another one talks and another one talks and another one talks. And the picture that is emerging is one that clearly points the finger. Now we know, it's not really even Hillary Clinton. It went right to the top. And I think one question I got asked is this. They defied orders that they were given. Now, you got to think about that. First of all, those orders, I agree with you. I think those orders were criminal.
Right.
But you got to think about this, too. How is it that they got away with defying orders?
Right.
And you know why they got away with defying orders? Because nobody wants to bring attention to what happened.
They knew it was criminal, so they didn't mess with them.
They didn't mess with them. You got to think about the chaos that was going on that night. Can you imagine this? One thing is very clear. When it comes to the commander-in-chief exercising his authority in a matter of war, which was really what was going on, we were being attacked, and we had to respond. And you have folks on the ground defying him, and then there's no action.
Right.
That raises questions in and of itself. Apart from everything else we discussed, I think that raises a lot of questions.
Right. And Dr. Grace, to have an American ambassador killed in a riot, terrorist attack situation is horrendous enough. But to have him killed publicly sodomized, publicly brutalized, publicly tortured, publicly murdered, and then the current administration to fabricate a story around what happened, and now we're beginning to get the backstory to it, that none of that horrendous brutalization had to happen. And yet, that just drives me through the roof.
Oh, it does. I am outraged. I'm sure your audience is going to be outraged. Essentially, with every minute that was ticking, from the moment those CIA security officers wanted to run for help, Chris Stevens was in dire pain. He wasn't just, possibly losing his life. He was being tortured to death.
Yes.
And even if that torture could have been alleviated for 5 or 10 or 15 minutes and the results would have been the same, it would have still been well worthy of them to say, go.
Exactly. And remember who an ambassador is. An ambassador is the person of the President of the United States in another person. In other words, he is the representative of the United States of America, and particularly the President of the United States of America. In that country and in that embassy, it is as though the President of the United States himself was dragged into the streets, sodomized, brutalized, tortured, and murdered. That's what it is, and we allowed it to happen.
That is exactly right. And these men on the ground also said, they were asked pointedly by Bret Baier, well, what about the whole narrative of the spontaneous protest and the YouTube video? And they said, we had no knowledge of that until we landed in Germany, subsequently to the attack. Then we heard about it.
Dr. Grace, listen, in the Weekly Standard, Steve Hayes has written an article, and I know that you're up on this, and I want to get your take on it. And he's written an article about the bin Laden raid. And apparently some documents now that have coming. Isn't it amazing how all this stuff, you just can't keep it down. You can't hide it. Documents coming to light. It appears that that all of those documents were not fully vetted. And it appears that in the bin Laden situation, in the bin Laden raid, we might have been lied to.
Well, another incredible story. Stephen Hayes has broken this story in the Weekly Standard, as you said, and it's titled, Al-Qaeda Was Not on the Run. Now, why does he say this? It's because when we killed Osama bin Laden, our personnel there on the ground, they retrieved a motherlode of information on Al-Qaeda. Essentially, after they killed Osama bin Laden, our troops secured millions, literally millions of documents that were brought back to the United States for our defense personnel to analyze. Instead, what happened was there was a battle between the CIA and the defense intelligence analysts. The CIA were trying to keep all those documents under lock, stock, and barrel. They basically had to fight it out, and the defense analysts got some of the documents. However, to date, there are now leaks that only 10% of everything that was discovered that night actually been analyzed. Only 10%. And I want to tell you what that means. Osama bin Laden, basically the head of Al-Qaeda, had information on every cell all around the world. Basically, that's the motherlode of documents on Islamic terrorism right there. Practically everybody involved, everybody you could possibly nab, how the operation is working, cell phone numbers, hard drive connections. I mean, you name it, it was there. And you're telling me that after all these years, only 10% of that information has actually been mined? That is mind-boggling, absolutely mind-boggling. What this tells us, also, what these documents show, which is really shocking, is that there is now evidence that Al-Qaeda was working far closer with Iran than even we have been led to believe. So Iran has been helping Al-Qaeda to build its terrorist network. And those ties are very well and very clearly explained in all those documents. Right. So here we have our president, our commander-in-chief. Not only has he not ensured that every single piece of information from those documents, at least within the defense intelligence analysts that need this information, not only has he not ensured that, but even though we know for sure that Tehran has been working with Al-Qaeda, he has led this effort to do a rapprochement with Iran.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is really damning, and what's most damning of all is that the defense intelligence analysts, as they were reviewing whatever they could get their hands on, they were telling the administration, I'm sorry, what you guys are saying to the public is not accurate. Al-Qaeda is not on the run. And whenever you decapitate some key leaders, you claim that this is a big victory, but look at this network. They have a means of replacing any key leader that you decapitate. Al-Qaeda is just transforming itself right before our eyes with offshoots and with more and more sophisticated means of waging terror. And guess what? One of those offshoots, documented even back then, is a group like ISIS.
Yeah.
So the president knew that Al-Qaeda was not on the run. Those documents revealed that, and that's why there was an effort to keep them basically in lockdown. So you got to think about that. Not only was the president lying to the public about Al-Qaeda, but he was also preventing our own defense intelligence analysts from getting access to those documents when you have people in the field whose lives are on the line in combating Al-Qaeda and these terrorists. This, again, like you say, whenever we talk about this president, we're not just talking about negligence or incompetence or stupidity. We're talking about dereliction of duty. We're talking about criminal activity.
Thank you. I was going to say, when you finished, and you just got to where you took your breath there, I was going to say, so once again, Dr. Grace, you're not talking about ineptness. You're talking about a purposed agenda. In other words, once this information was uncovered, and he knew what was in it, he went in an opposite direction in what he told the public, and then went against the advice of his own intelligence community, knowing what he had but refusing to deal with it. That's purposed agenda.
Yes, and guess what else these documents show? That David Petraeus, who was heading up the CIA at one time, he formed an alliance with some of the defense intelligence analysts that wanted the CIA to give forward more documents.
Right.
So basically, he went against the administration on that, and he was trying to help the intelligence analysts get the information that they were asking for.